Hey guys, I am back from Florida. I am wearing my brand new Halloween Horror Nights shirt for 2018. Sadly, this means that my Halloween Horror Nights experience is already over for Halloween Horror Nights 28. However, I'm here today because I wanted to make a very short, quick, to the point, updated tips video for 28 HHN 2018. Because now that I've been at the event, I know that Stay and Scream is very different this year than it's been in the past. So I feel like a lot of the things I gave to you as tips in the previous video just don't apply to this year. And so I feel bad because a lot of you watched that video. And so here is my updated tips for 2018 to get your best experience using Stay and Scream. And then I've got a few other tips just in general now that I've experienced it. So first of all, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who said hi to me this year during the event. I did get to meet a lot of you in the fog, and that was definitely a highlight of this year. It was by far more than I've ever met at the event before, and it was really cool to get to say hi to all of you and put faces to names, and now when I read comments I know who some of you are. So thank you for that, and now let's get into the tips. So in my previous video I said that there would be 4 Stay and Scream locations, and as of today, which is October 2nd, there have only been 2 Stay and Scream locations this year, and that is Finnegan's and the Simpsons area. Now, as the event gets more popular later in the month, they could possibly open other Stay and Scream locations, but as far as I know, currently, very beginning of October, they're only doing Finnegan's and Simpsons, and I've heard that Hello Kitty might just be like an extra holding pen and not actually go anywhere. It's been very confusing, but I think most of you are here for advice on how to get to see Stranger Things or how to use Finnegan's Stay and Scream this year. So, Finnegan's Stay and Scream is going to 2 houses. You can pick between Stranger Things or Poltergeist. So I was correct that those 2 houses are opening first. However, this is the first time that they've ever had a Stay and Scream location go to 2 houses. So Finnegan's is a humongous Stay and Scream holding pen this year. In the past, that Stay and Scream area has just been the street that's kind of shaded in between the 2 New York buildings and the interior of Finnegan's. This year they have that street, they have the interior of Finnegan's, they have the street on the other side of Finnegan's that's next to the park, they have the park. That whole area is a giant Stay and Scream location. So obviously they were prepared for crowds. I can't say I agree with this decision because it kind of kills Stay and Scream, but that's a whole other topic for another day. If you want to do Stranger Things first, which I would still not advise, but I'll come back to that in a minute. If you're dead set on doing Stranger Things first and you're coming to Stay and Scream to do Stranger Things, you need to get there early. You cannot stroll in at 5 p.m. and expect to be able to go Stranger Things without any sort of wait. It's just not gonna happen. There's too many people doing Stay and Scream this year for that to be a reality. So I honestly don't know how early you have to be there to be in the front of the Stranger Things pin. I would guess you don't want to get there any later than 4 because, full disclosure, I only did Stay and Scream one night because I heard from everyone else how crazy it was and we had Express, so I only did Stay and Scream one night. However, the one night that we did Stay and Scream, we did Finnegan's, and I got there at 5 as usual. By 5:10, I was out in the street trying to figure out how these pens worked, and the first holding area for Stranger Things was already full. So you're gonna have to get there early if you want to be in the front of the holding pen for Stranger Things. As best as I can tell, the way they're handling this, because we had kind of a weird situation during my Stay and Scream night where it had a torrential downpour while we were waiting to be released. As best as I can gather, they're filling one holding pen to the left side of Finnegan's. They're filling that for Stranger Things, and then if you're not in that, they're filling a next area right next to it, which is where we were standing before it started pouring, and then everybody else, I guess, is just a free-for-all once the gates open. I don't know, because for us it started pouring. We ran for the popcorn stand, we huddled together under a popcorn stand, and when it finally released the pens, it was still pouring, so we waited. So as best as I can tell, they kind of let everyone from that first pin, they lead them to Stranger Things, and then everybody else is like, do you want to do Stranger Things or do you want to do Poltergeist? It's up to you. The first 2 weekends at least, the line for Stranger Things was starting at 60 minutes to 120 minutes right off the bat just from Stay and Scream. That is crazy. I've never seen that. If you're not in that front pack for Stranger Things, I would say go to Poltergeist, because here's my thing. If you're getting to Stay and Scream at 4 p.m. and they're releasing everybody out around 5:45, you've already now waited an hour and 45 minutes for that house as it is. You're waiting nearly 2 hours for the house now in the heat of the day with the sun still beating on you, getting sunburnt. Why not wait an hour and 45 minutes later in the night when it's dark? I would rather get there at 5 p.m., wait 45 minutes, and go to Poltergeist right away. It's up to you if you want to do Stranger Things first thing. However, you're still gonna end up waiting an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours for the house, even if you're the first person in line for it. But if you do Poltergeist first, then you can follow the same path that I said in the previous video, which is Poltergeist, Scary Tales, Carnival, and then head to the back of the park. As far as I know, everything I've heard from the Simpsons Stay and Scream area is that it's been very smooth. Haven't heard any complaints about that. Seems like certain nights has been very busy, other nights not so much. Seems like you've been able to hit pretty much all the back houses pretty easily. So Simpsons is a good option if you're there multiple nights. Maybe you want to do Finnegan's one night to do the front and Simpsons another night to do the back. Simpsons is pretty much the low-key Stay and Scream this year, so take that for what you will. If you are there to see Stranger Things, if that is your goal for Halloween Horror Nights 28 is to see Stranger Things, if you have Express or you have general admission, I would wait to closer to the end of the night. I'm not gonna say the end of the night because we did have an incident the first weekend where they did end up having to take people out of line because the wait was too long and the park was closing. They did fix that issue, that has been resolved. However, my warning still stands. If it's a 2 a.m. close, do not get in line at 1:45 because it's not gonna be your best house experience. But if it's a 2 a.m. close, you can get in line at 12:30 and maybe have a shorter wait. We did Stranger Things 3 of the 6 nights that we were there, and those 3 times we waited until about 11 o'clock and we only waited 15 minutes max. So with Express, it's really not a big deal if you wait later in the evening. You just have to figure early in the evening, 1, the line is longest for the general admission area, and 2, more people are burning their Express early in the night, so if you wait later, there's less people also in Express with you. So either way, I would say strategy-wise, it's best to put Stranger Things later in your evening, but don't wait until the last second. So I want to do a quick touch on my general admission strategy. Like I said, we only did Stay and Scream one night. All the other nights we came in pretty much with the crowds. We got there around 7 or 7:30, but again, we had Express, so we weren't trying to beat the rush. We were kind of letting the rush die down and then coming in. If you are general admission, I would say depending on the crowd level on your particular night, you can again head straight for Poltergeist and do Scary Tales and Carnival, saving Stranger Things for later, or head to the back of the park and do all the back houses because those waits were climbing, but not climbing quite as fast as the ones up front. For Express, if you're not doing Stay and Scream, I would highly recommend going to the back and starting with those back houses. The longest wait we had with Express over the 6 nights was 30 minutes for Dead Exposure on opening night. And if you haven't seen my opening night vlog, I will link it here. It's the only one up so far from this trip. Opening night was the busiest opening night I have ever seen at Halloween Horror Nights, so it was an anomaly. It's not what we're used to. If you have Express, again, later in the run, the wait times are gonna go up, but I would advise heading to the back of the park, finishing at the front of the park if you're not doing Stay and Scream. So the last thing I want to talk about is just very quickly, I've had some people talk to me about wanting to know which houses they should prioritize, which houses were my favorites. So I want to give you a quick crash course in which houses were my favorites, which ones I thought were worth the wait. First of all, I know everyone wants to know about Stranger Things. It's a nice, solid, middle-of-the-run house for me. However, I am a Horror Nights fan, so I'm more into originals. But it was a solid, probably number 5 for me out of the 10. I don't think it's worth a 3-hour wait, but if you're looking at an hour wait, I definitely think it's worth it. It's absolutely worth waiting for it with Express. And if you're a huge fan of the show, then yes, wait for it, because I think you're gonna have a really good experience. I didn't think it was the scariest house there, but I did love the experience. My first time through it, it actually made me emotional because I do love the show. I can't say it's worth 3 hours, but it's definitely worth a wait. My personal favorite for the year is Seeds of Extinction, so I would highly recommend that one. That was actually my least anticipated of the originals, and it ended up being my absolute favorite. Now, obviously this is very subjective. Everyone's favorites are all over the place, but personally, my favorites were Seeds, Poltergeist, which surprised me. It definitely avoided the issues that I'd seen previously in Shining Exorcist. Second favorite house of the year, definitely one of the scariest houses there. I also loved Carnival, Slaughter Cinema, Scary Tales. Really, I enjoyed most of them. There's really only one that I did not at least have fun in, and that was Blumhouse, and I feel bad because it's not the actor's fault, it's just not a very good house. So Blumhouse would be the one to skip if you have to. Do not wait a long period of time for that house. That would be my one to skip this year. The other two that were kind of for me that weren't my favorites were Trick or Treat and Halloween 4. Trick or Treat was a pretty house, but I just didn't think it delivered as much as some of the other ones. But the other 7 were all ones that I enjoyed. So if you have to skip one, I think across the board everyone's agreeing that Blumhouse is the weakest house this year. But the rest, everyone's kind of up in the air. So my priorities would be Seeds, Carnival, Poltergeist, Stranger Things, Scary Tales. Oh, Dead Exposure, I didn't mention that one, but Dead Exposure probably the most scares of the event. So it was a good time. I had a lot of fun visiting friends, but I wanted to get this tip video out quickly just in case, because I know there's another month long of the event and I wanted to try to help you guys. And once I got there, I was like, ah, nothing applies, nothing is the same. And Stranger Things kind of broke Stay and Scream. So I hope this helped. Leave me comments down below if you still have questions that weren't answered in this. I will be glad to help you guys. Stay tuned. There's going to be Halloween Horror Nights videos every Friday for the rest of the month from my trip. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye.